Yeah, I mean, so continue along that same vein, like starting my own business, it was just me, and same with you, it was just you. How do you trust other people to kind of come in and basically represent you? So that was a big hurdle for me, coming from the corporate America where I had brought in consultants from other places, mostly big box guys like PwC, KPMG, McKinsey, and all this. And my frustration was always the guy who came in, who would talk to us and sell us on, what would be, the final product, what they would be doing, isn't the guy who's actually doing the work. Right. Their model, especially the big box companies, is always, you have the top layer of the people who knew what they were talking about, maybe were in the business, knew what was going on, and then they hired a bunch of MBA students who knew how to, fill out Ishikawa diagrams, like those fish diagrams and stuff. And they had templates, and all the presentations felt scripted and templated. And I wanted to avoid that. And, going back of, looking at how I built the business, it was once I started to get word of mouth, people started coming to me, and I really wanted to start and only do it for a year and go back to, a corporate job. But then it just kind of took hold and I loved it. But it was very difficult for me to trust somebody to do work that I wasn't touching.
Yeah.
Right. In the beginning, that first year and a half, everything my client got was me. So they knew what they were getting, they knew the experience, and that was always difficult to as we grew the business. Now, 30 some people, plus contractors, everybody I'm bringing in, there are some junior people who were teaching how to do it, but they're not client facing and doing heavy lifting work, right? Everybody I'm hiring are people who've been doing it 20 plus years. And for me, my business runs at a much, much lower margin. I'm probably 1/3 of the margin of the big box guys because I'm paying the guys who are making, mid six figures sometimes to come in and do the work because they've been doing it forever, because I want my clients to get quality products. And it's something I don't know if everybody kind of appreciates, but you see it in the end result. But it's also hard to get out there and really do it. Good example is Starbucks. I don't know if you saw what happened with Starbucks. They hired somebody as CEO who came in from a big box consulting company, and it just tanked. Right, because he was never in a business. He never really ran day to day. He was always consulting from the outside, saying, theoretically, this is what you should be doing. Here's your hiccups. Here's where you could improve. But if you're not doing it every day and you don't understand the inner workings of the business, how do you help them succeed? And truthfully, I love the big box consulting companies.
Yeah,
they're my bread and butter because we get hired in back of them all the time to come in and actually do the real work after they've kind of recommended. And then their board of directors love the name, whoever it may be, PwC, McKinsey, KPMG, they see those big names and they buy into the idea. And then now the operators need to find somebody to help them do the work. And that's kind of what we do. But for you, I imagine the same thing. Your name is your brand.
Yeah, totally.
So when you come in, so when you're bringing in people to work with you on the small times you do that, it has to be somebody you trust and represents you, right?
110%.
Right.
110%. I have a guy I work with, he's out of Kennett Square.
Okay.
And he does all my cabinets.
Okay.
So if you want your cabinets painted, stained, I know his work.
Yeah.
I know he gives 10-year guarantee.
Yep.
I know his guys.
Yeah.
And a restoration carpenter buddy of mine said, yo, Schmidt, you got to use this dude. And I saw his work. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going right with this guy.
Yeah.
He gives a great price. You know what I mean? And that's what matters.
Yeah.
If I bring in somebody to help me out, usually it's a friend, another painter friend, but
Right.
I've brought in people I didn't know, my dad's buddy's kid or whatever. And within an hour, you're like, just go home. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the work ethic's bad, or they expect to get paid $60 an hour when they don't even know what the hell they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't know how to prep anything. Prepping is 99%. Painting's easy.
Yeah.
Painting's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's the prepping of everything. And
Okay.
if you have nobody who you can rely on,
Yeah.
and then those people tell their, the neighbor's like, yo, who painted your house?
Yeah.
Well, he did a crap job. Or he missed this.
Yeah,
or
then
whatever.
it looks bad on you.
Yeah,
and it kills future business.
Yeah, I've done, like you said, it's all on us. I've done trim around a door. And I had this lady, it was great. This lady, she called me up. And when I'm on the floor, I do the baseboard and the trim as far as I can go up. When I'm on the ceiling, I do as far as I can go down. I missed this much. I was half hour from home. She calls me up. She goes, yo, you got to come back. I'm like, why? She goes, you'll see. And I walked right in, man, and I
Saw it right away.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was a foot. And I looked at her, and she just laughed. She laughed her ass off.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's on me, though.
Yeah.
But then you have guys who would step on, you're painting a ceiling, and an idiot steps on the end of a, an island, a brand new island. You know what I mean? And they break it.
Cracks the end of it.
They cracks the end of it. They don't tell me. They don't tell the homeowner. Then the homeowner calls me all mad.
Finds it later.
And it's on me. If I mess up, it's on me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find just the consistency.
Yeah, especially the younger generation. I mean, I talk a lot with my kids, and they'll always tell me I'm going on my old man rant, but it's a true story. I mean, we grew up, we're Gen X, and I do think there is some differences in how different generations work. Older millennials, I think, are closer to Gen X than younger millennials.
Agreed.
But being at corporate America, we would bring in these summer interns, and then we'd hire them in when they graduated college, and they would do a really good job for us, right? That first year they do really well, and then all of a sudden they want to be making $100,000 a year, and then have their manager's job, and it's like explaining to them, like, you did good job at what you did, but you don't know what you don't know yet.
Yeah.
You haven't been introduced to, we gave you basically 15-20% of the job expectation, what you need to do. You don't know 100% yet. Like, you did very well in what you need, but for you to get to the next level, you got to learn everything before you can move up. And it's tough, and it's entitlement. And I think it's, a lot of the upbringing and everything. I do see it. It's tough for me. I try to beat on my kids a little bit to have, that work ethic, but it's a tough thing to find, and trust people, especially the younger generation, that they're going to work as hard as you're going to work. And nobody's going to work as hard for your thing as you do.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
But it's trying to find somebody who has that, responsibility in their mind, that work ethic, pride in what they're doing, whether they own it or not. Whatever you do, you should have pride in your work.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just trying to do it half-assed, but yeah, it's definitely kind of a younger generation thing, which is kind of weird.
Well, like I said, I think that's exactly how we grew up. Like, if I missed the bus, my mom and dad weren't there to drive me.
Yeah.
If I ran home, like, I missed the bus, what my dad would say to me?
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Run to school.
You better hurry up.
You better hurry up. And guess what?
Well, you
You're
had
late.
a lot longer run than I did.
Yes, I did. And if you're late, guess what?
Yeah.
You're not grounded, but they're going to hold you after school. And guess what? It's on you. It's consequences.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think it's a lot of things today with there's not consequences for the F-ups.
No, there's
If
not.
we F up in our stuff, there's a consequence for us.
Every time we effed up, we learn from those mistakes.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times,
Or
as
we
I'm
get
not,
backhanded.
I'm not going to lie to you, learning from our mistakes wasn't always like, oh, we know what not to do. It was more of, we know what not to do to get caught.
Exactly.
Not that we stopped doing it.
Exactly.
We just learned the best ways to do it without getting caught.
Right.
Which shows ingenuity, and I think helps with people starting their own businesses and doing stuff where the younger generation, like my kids, they get caught doing something, and maybe they're better at it than I give them credit for. But they would not do it again or not try to do it again, right? And it's like, no, I'm not going to tell them. My wife would kill me. Like, don't figure out not to do stuff. Figure out ways to do it without getting in trouble for it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right? Have fun. I'm not going to tell them that. They're going to watch the podcast now and see I'm saying that.
That's okay.
It's not advocating it. My kids are all older now, so, they have consequences. 2 of them are adults, so, consequences hurt sometimes when you're an adult versus a kid.
Yeah.
But the more you can fail as a kid and figure it out, the better it is. But yeah, some of the shit we did, I remember, I forget if you were there, lived over, in the other side of Aston near Green Ridge, out back, there was this huge, tree area right behind my house. And there was this neighbor that had this huge bin that he would clean up all of the needles from all the pine trees and all the leaves and just pile them in there. And, when we were younger, we all had those magnifying glasses. We'd go,
Start fires.
Start fires with the bugs and everything.
Yeah.
I did it in that thing and just set a fire, and it did all the trees and everything. Fire company came
I wasn't
and everything.
there for that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I had to figure out a way to talk my way out of that it wasn't me, did this, and it must have been an accident. And I figured I talked my way out of it. I don't think I did, but I didn't get in trouble by the police or the firefighters.
Yeah.
My parents I got in trouble for, but it helped me figure out, growing up, the ways to talk myself out of stuff, figure out ways to communicate, and do all that. But learned how to not do shit stupid twice.
Yeah. Like I remember coming home from a party. I don't think you were there. A mutual friend of ours was with me, and the cops showed up, and of course everybody scatters. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the roaches when you turn the light on, everybody just shut it. So we all ran, and our one mutual friend, who's kind of a big dude, hid behind a tree.
That
Like,
wasn't.
he tried to get skinny, got busted.
Yeah.
You know
The
what I mean?
tree was smaller than he was.
The tree was smaller than he was.
Yeah.
And to this day, every time I bring it up to him to this day, you know, it's great. He just laughs at me because, yeah, I remember. It's funny, you know, like that kind of stuff you remember.
Oh, it is.
You know, but you, like you said, you learn from, like, you know, our parents were a lot different than parents. I'm not a parent, but to see how kids are now, especially if I
Yeah.
bring kids help me to work, and how their parents interact with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if their kid complains about me, I'll get a phone call.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, you know, you're taking this 16-year-old's
Yeah.
what he's telling you. Call me up. I'll tell you
At face
exactly.
value.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have
we-
their version. You want the truth.
Yeah, because when we were 16, there's a lot of BS coming out of our mouth.
Can you imagine growing up if smartphones were a thing?
No. No.
Yeah. Like I can't imagine every part of our life being videoed, pictures somewhere. Like our lives would have been completely different.
Yeah. I don't think anybody would let me in their house.
Or any of us. Like if they was filming some of the stupid shit we did.
Yeah.
Like I remember taking my bike down in that ravine behind my grandparents' house. I had a 10-speed bike. Everyone else had a dirt bike, and I was like, "The hell with it." It was this big ravine that had this dirt rocky trail around it, and I thought it was a good idea to take my 10-speed down there. And I can just imagine the clicks I would have gotten if somebody videoed that, because I don't remember it, because I got a concussion, broke collarbone. I was messed up.
Yeah, because we all would have been sitting on each side. You know what I mean? Just
And our
filming it.
buddy Brian,
Yeah.
who helped stoke some of my bad habits today, had to walk me up, and his brother Dave was pushing my bike, and if you remember Ron Nevin
Yeah.
was there. We were walking up Bridgewater Road around that blind corner, and I was concussed. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And,
And then I
just
guess Brian was laughing the whole time.
the whole time.
Yeah, that's what he does
But
now.
when we got to my house, you remember my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
he had to go in and tell her. And he said to me, it was the most shitless he was scared in his whole life,
Yeah.
having to go tell her what happened and
Yeah.
everything. Because she was like, be careful with your bikes when you go out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember my father telling me, like, he just bought me a new bike. I was living in Collingdale.
Yeah.
And, you know, which wasn't probably for me the best place ever to live. You know what I mean? I got
Yeah.
buddies it was great. Buddies of mine I still hang out with. So we made friends with them. It was great. We all got beat up by nuns, so we all had that in common.
What?
And, yeah, we all went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
But
It's just funny to hear somebody say it
I
like
still have the
that.
scar on this finger from the one nun, yeah.
From the,
Yeah, from the end of
Yeah.
Aurora with the metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was always drumming, you know.
Go figure.
But I remember my old man going, you know, your bike's brand was like a brand new mongoose, right? Remember those
yeah.
bikes?
Oh, I do.
And he goes, make sure you lock it up. And I went to like the corner store to buy like, you know, penny freaking fish. And I walked out and it was gone.
oh, wow.
Longest walk home ever. And
You
know,
don't, usually don't have to worry about that in John's Corner Deli.
no, you don't worry about John's Corner Deli. Now in Collingdale,
Collingswood, yeah.
Collingdale, you got to really worry about. Collingswood, you don't got to in New Jersey, but
Yeah,
in Collingdale, you
Collingsdale,
don't. You
yeah.
know, and yeah, you look back on. I mean, you look back at our childhood. Would you change anything?
No.
Here would I?
No, I mean, everybody says if you go back in time, what would you change? And my fear would be something would change that I don't want to change if I change it. So there's nothing I would change going back.
Yeah, I mean, the only
Unless I
thing
could go back like a few years ago where I know nothing major would get changed, like, kids, wife and all that. I go back and change. I should have bought Bitcoin like 10 years earlier.
yeah, yeah, I would change. I would
Then
change.
I could have retired by now.
Yeah, I would change probably. On a more serious note, I would probably change like, maybe my mom could be here a little bit longer in life.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because she's died when I was like 10 years old.
Fair.
So that would have been, and then I found out years later, like she was dying of cancer for like 8 years of my life. I had no clue.
You didn't know.
So I would much rather like my teenage years, or
Yeah, those type of things.
or saw me.
Thanks for bringing me down. By
Yeah,
the way.
no, I'm sorry. Or like saw me like be the musician thing. Like
Yeah.
I think she would have really dug that.
That's yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the only thing I regret. Other than that, I had a great childhood. My dad was hard on me, but he made me
Yeah.
who I am, and that's why I hustle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I call him up now. Like, if I work my ass off for 2 weeks at a job, and I'll stop by the house on like a random Thursday. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why don't you work? I'm like, well, I've just finished a job working 10 hours a day. Well,
Yeah.
why aren't you working? It's like, well, I'm here to see you, dude.
I know the flexibility of work schedule when you start your own business and you can figure it out is so immensely underrated that is one of the most attractive things of why once I started doing it, I wanted to figure out how to make it work in the long run, right? Because it made time for me to do stuff that I love to do, that was, stuff that I like to do a lot, but now I got more time to do it because, right, it was not my schedule. My client needed something done by this date. And, it's not that I didn't work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, but I could work those hours wherever I wanted.
Right.
If I had a time where I could work 15 hours in one day and just get a ton done, and then the next day I only work 3 or 4, but I could go to my kids' soccer game or football game or golf tournament or whatever, it's so much flexibility there. Now it's a little less now that I'm bigger, the company's grown. I'm bigger too. The company's grown, but it's still, the flexibility is still there that I wouldn't have in a corporate job.
Right.
Right. And I got to explore hobbies that I had that I never would have thought on the scale that I did them at. Right. I get to go play golf in places with clients and things that I never would have played if I was at corporate America.
Right.
Right. Going to play some of these courses that some clients are private that I can get into now with them, and things that just never would have happened. Liberty National up in northern Jersey, right on the river, with a view of the Statue of Liberty. Like, uber private, never would have gotten to play something like that.
Right.
Or going to play different things. And then I'm a big poker guy, right? I'm also a big craps guy, which is kind of anti-analytics when you think about it, because it's gambling. But it still is the only true bets behind the line, is still the only true odds bet in the whole casino. So I'll stand by that. That's a smart math move. But I try to avoid craps because poker's my thing, right? Analytics, numbers, reading people, because I have a good balance that a lot of people are either very, very good on the IQ side or very, very good on the EQ side, the emotional quotient.
Right.
Good talkers, good relationship. Usually you don't have both, and I like to think I'm pretty good at both. And poker is perfect for that, getting to read people, understand people. The math of it is intriguing and just astounds me. And I got to do a lot more than that. I finally got to go to the World Series of Poker in 2008,
Nice.
2010, and then a bunch of years after that I never would have done. And then ended up getting some clients out there from, turning it into a business trip. While I'm out there, how can I make more of it? Got to meet a very, very good friend of mine out there who in 2010, I was at the World Series of Poker. I didn't really play any of the events. They have like 70, now they have 100 different events that you can win a gold bracelet, and that's the ones that are televised. But there's so much poker on the side. I was a cash game guy sitting at the cash tables, and I met this guy who had designed the World Series of Poker bracelets that year.
Oh, cool.
And to this day, he's a good friend. He does a lot of jewelry for me, custom rings for my kids for their high school rings. He's done a bunch of stuff. Actually, this watch is one that he designed. It's the one I bought from him there at the World Series of Poker because it was my first time there. It's Hardcore Watches. His name's Steve Saffa, Soffa. Go check him out, stevesaffa.com. Incredible stuff. He does a lot of stuff with Sturgis. He's known very, very well there, but he does incredible jewelry, incredible watches. And I really, started to talk to him when I was there and started doing that. That was this watch, and we'll show it afterwards. It's called the Hot Bike watch. It's limited edition. He only made so many of them. And I was able to grab one from him. And to this day, he's a good personal friend. And I've got a lot of his one-of-one jewelries that he's done for me. Some really nice bracelets, a lot of skulls and stuff. He's very big on this. The Joker and the Jacks and everything. It's a lot of fun, but you meet people, and that's another line of the business that's conversation starters, that people that are into jewelry, watches and everything. When I have a custom piece and I can talk about it, make introductions of people and everything, and it's been great. But that's stuff that I would never have been able to do, and probably wouldn't have met them and done any of that if I hadn't have done the whole thing.
Right.
And then it got me into being more comfortable in the setting. And finally, like 2015, I finally said, you know what, I'm comfortable enough with my game. I started playing in a World Series of Poker event. So now every year I go out in the summertime, which isn't a great time to go to Vegas because it's hot as anything. Sweating your balls off. It's crazy. 110 degrees. But I have clients out there, so I love to go out there middle of the year, catch up with them. But I set aside extra time to go play World Series of Poker events. So I try to play one per year, and I do pretty good. I've cashed in a bunch of them. I think I'd do very well if I played a lot more. I'd do well, but maybe one day when I'm retired, I'll go on the poker circuit. But certainly, I never would have envisioned me going to play a World Series of Poker event. Like, because you see it on TV, it's like, oh, that'd be so cool.
Right.
I never would have done
It
it.
seems like so far away.
It does.
Yeah.
And then travel. I know you're a huge travel person, right? You know, my wife and I have been able to go to, you know, Oktoberfest a couple of times. We've been all over Europe, you know, all over, you know, different places. And it's just like Hawaii and everything. Never would have done that because wouldn't have the same opportunity because I can't take off this amount of work and, you know, work remotely. I can work remotely anywhere.
Right. Or getting paid. You know, I'm getting paid a lot. You know, I have my own thing. It's all going to me.
Right.
I don't have the overhead.
Right.
You know, so I can, you know, I get paid. I do 4 or 5 jobs. I'm like, well, I'm going to go away.
It makes your quality of life better.
It's it, you know, and I go away. I call it my soul cleanse.
Yeah.
You know, I go to Europe. You know what I mean? I hit 6, 7 places.
Yeah, because when you go on a trip, you go on a trip.
I go on a trip. Like my brother got married in Paris. Yeah. Right? And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? And then I'm like, okay, well, I can go early before, you know, they get married. Yeah. And I can go to Normandy. Okay. So I went to Omaha Beach, did Juneau. Oh, wow. Went to Normandy. It was really the best cheeseburger I ever had in my life was in Normandy. I know it's.
Really?
Yeah, I swear they
American food.
I think they slaughtered the cow and ordered it. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was the best. And then like, you know, he got married. I'm like, okay, well, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to Florence. So I did Florence for 5 days.
Oh wow.
I did Rome for 9, and then I went to Pompeii, walked up Vesuvius, met a Scotsman. Had a beer with this old Scots guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, I called his wife, you know, we had a beer together. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, well, what can I do now? Oh, I go to Athens. Then I went to Athens. Then I went to Egypt. Yeah. I did Cairo. And unfortunately, I was in Egypt when the whole thing happened with Hamas in Israel. Oh, okay. So I'm getting.
You were there?
I was there. Oh, wow. So I came home from Giza, and the first text message I got when I first got my service back was my tattoo guy. He's like, yo, you all right? I'm like, what are you talking about? I had no idea what was going on. That was my email on the U.S. consulate in Cairo was sending me. I have it framed on my wall, you know, saying like, "Watch out,
be careful,
be careful."
Oh wow,
right? Because you know, terrorists, blah blah. You know, so I think somebody got killed in Alexandria, right? And I'm like, great. So the next day, what do? I throw on a Grateful Dead shirt. You know, I don't have all these. You know what I mean? I probably had a few of these. Like none of these were existent really. I probably had these. You know, a couple of these. Yeah. And I walked 15 minutes from my hotel to the Cairo Museum. You know, and I kind of stand out. You know what I mean? I'm a tall Irish guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But everybody was so nice there.
Hey,
you know what I mean? Everybody in Cairo,
look, it's Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, you know, and I'm like, everybody there was so nice and so sweet. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I just saw the pyramids. Like, you know, I never thought I'd ever see the pyramids. And then from there, I'm like, well, what can I do now? You know, and then I just, you know, go to Oktoberfest. Then I go to, you know, everything, you know, it's insane.
And meet people, make relationships.
I have friends all around the world. You know what I mean? I got friends I met at a party that I got invited to in Amsterdam. The first day I was in Amsterdam, I got invited to a party.
And probably nothing you would have done if you didn't have your own gig.
No, exactly. Yeah. And then these guys gave me the WhatsApp. They're like, if you're ever in New Zealand, you have a place to stay. Yeah. You know, and to me, it's like, I love doing that. I love meeting new people. When I'm nice enough, if you're nice enough to invite me to a Flyers game or a Phillies game. Yeah. I don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody the first time I went there. Yeah. I'm going around right here. People saw this, and they just gravitated towards me.
All my college buddies always ask now, like, how's Schmitty doing?
They're great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, especially, you know, doing this, and you were able to, you know, have the suite at the Phillies and everything, bringing college friends, high school friends together, and everyone intermixing. Like, and most people don't have that. Yeah, and everybody gets along.
You know, last time I saw them, we were doing shots at the Phillies
the
game.
Hall of Fame club upstairs. Yeah.
You know, like just that kind of shit. It's cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, it's stuff you wouldn't have been able to do unless you give yourself that flexibility. You have to work hard. Don't get me wrong. You have to work hard, but work hard, play hard. Right? I think that's, you know, growing up, our generation was, let's bust our ass in order to do what we want to do.
Yeah, yeah. And then the reward is you work hard. The playing hard is your reward. Yeah. Going to World Series of Poker. Going to Oktoberfest. You know what I mean?
How do you do that next,
you know, going to anywhere I've been. It's, you know, that's the fun of it.
It is. And I always go through, and the flip side of that is a habitual concern I have of, I constantly get asked, what are you going to do? You know, when are you going to retire? How long are you going to do this for? And quite frankly, you know, selfishly, I've had plenty of offers to buy the business with very, very, very large offers that are lucrative. But it's, you know, from my mind, it's always, it's my baby. Do I want to do that? We constantly build up people that are younger, teach them. I'd love to be able to hand that off, you know, family and everything. You know, maybe that's what I want to do. Or, you know, maybe we sell, I don't know. My biggest concern is I can't just sit around and do nothing. Yeah. Dale would shoot me. My wife would shoot me because she would be miserable. I'd be bothering her all the time. There's only so much golf, poker, you know, different things I can do to take up my time, I want to do math. Like, my home finances are so overly complicated with spreadsheets and everything
Right.
that I know to the penny everything going in and out, personally, work-wise, for the next 2 years. Monthly spreadsheets, it's crazy. Like, I don't think I could step away from that. My wife's going to say it's my OCD, which I don't like because I think it should be CDO. The letters should be in order. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
CDO, like, put them in alphabetical order for Christ's sake. But yeah, I just don't see myself sitting around. And I think that's a byproduct of how we grew up is let's bust our butt. And my first job was probably cutting grass when I was 8, 9 years old. As soon as I was able to get my blue card, at Sun Valley, it was 13. I was starting to work at whatchamacallit, the retirement home up
Lima
on
Estates?
No, the other one up on Granite Farms.
Oh, Granite Farms.
Up on
I got fired from
up on
there.
Route 1. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I dropped the whole. I was bossing.
Tray.
I dropped the whole tray on these 95-year-olds.
I know
It was I felt so bad.
It was my first paycheck job,
Yeah.
and waiting in the dining room was a wake-up call for the retirement home, especially when you had to help people do stuff. It was like crazy, but 13, 14, we're grinding it out for $4 an hour.
Yeah.
Like $3.25 an hour, actually, I think was my first. And then after your probation, you got it to $4 an
Yeah,
hour.
but we would. We were stupid back then, and we would just. We would buy stupid stuff.
Oh,
and
we
then,
would.
and we ride
We'd
around-
spend it.
Yeah, you only
We'd
spend
make it and spend
and
it.
then we ride around in cars.
Yeah.
And then Brian will give whoever was sitting in that passenger side, he would give us a shit ton of pennies.
Yep.
At 3Js.
At 3Js.
And we'd have to say, "Here you go," and just drop the pennies.
Yes.
And he would sit there the whole time and just laugh.
Let's laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh, be like, yeah,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Like I
Sorry.
wish I knew more computer stuff because I would do stuff abroad. Yeah, like
Okay.
I would if I could, if I did IT stuff, right?
Yep.
Which I'm probably too old to even learn any of that crap now. But if I tell my nephew this or my cousin this all the time. He's an IT guy. I'm like, if I had your job, I would be over in Ireland,
Yep.
Scotland, and work even going down south Costa Rica. I'd be doing your job abroad.
Somewhere else.
Somewhere, oh yeah.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. I mean, I'd live in Prague in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
2 seconds.
I've spoken to the government agencies that help GTAI, that help with Germany to get new businesses in to kind of grow the economy. So I've talked to them several times, and I speak a little bit of German, so does my son, and they have just as much need for what we do over there.
Right.
But it's just barriers of entry, the cost of doing business, having a bunch of people who speak fluent German, not just Oktoberfest German.
Yeah, right. You don't want to
which is what I
translate it
would call.
24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get by enough, but I'm not going to sit there in a business meeting.
Yeah.
But that's something I'd love to do. So maybe sometime in the future, go international and everything. But it's all about what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life personally and professionally, and just bust your butt.
Right.
Right. I just don't. For me, what's the end of the rainbow? I wish I could tell you I knew for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
same.
I'll be done working at 60 years old, and I'll sell the company for X dollars, and go off into the sunset.
Right.
They'll probably make me work there for 3 years while it transitions, and it is what it is. Is that it, or is it transitioning to someone else, or I don't know. So
Yeah.
who knows? But the good thing is I dictate my own future. It allows me to figure out what I want to do. But it's also, I think, to wrap things up and kind of go back, it's learning what works, but also learning what doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Figuring it out, not being afraid, to your point, taking risks, trusting yourself, and, being your own brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So that being said, maybe tell the people, give them some insight, a little bit about the business, how they can reach out to you, maybe anything about any of the albums or anything, where to go listen. Maybe give them a little bit of it's all yours for the last few minutes. So we'll give it to you, and let them know what's going on.
Sure. So I guess first things first, my painting company is Mike Smith Painting. We'll probably show something with the ad number. You can get a hold of me.
Up here somewhere.
Yeah, up here somewhere or down here somewhere, over at Billy Strings. And, I do exterior and interior, cabinets, anything you need. I go anywhere from Jersey, Philly, Delaware. I try to keep busy. I'm honest, and it's just me. So it might take me a little bit longer, but you'll get a damn good job. With the band stuff, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on every platform. Band's called The Q-U-E-U-E. Album's called Fallout. Check it out. You'll love it. It's kind of Elvis Costello meets Ben Folds 5.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. First band's Pepper's Ghost. The one I'm on, the album's called Opening Night, Live Orchestra. and another band's called Bill O'Meara Band, and that's a singer-songwriter stuff. That's a band we opened up for with Bon Jovi.
Yep.
And really good stuff. So love for you to check it out. And if you need anything, you can sure comment on underneath Steve's platform, or you go to my Facebook platform, which you'll probably see here. And I'd love to hear from you. And thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Always good to catch up.
Definitely.
Thank you, everybody. Again, maybe we'll do a little bit, show the watch off, because like I said, my buddy Steve, maybe sometime Devin and I will travel down to Florida where he's at, maybe do a segment with him, because his entrepreneurial story is amazing, and some of the stuff he's done is amazing. So again, it's his hot bike watch, limited edition. Love it. My first poker watch, I guess you could call it, but it's something I wear all the time. Love it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and on to the next topic.